The Breakfast Rush podcast, if you missed it this morning.
Over the past few weeks, alarming reports have emerged from parts of KwaZulu-Natal and Johannesburg where migrants, refugees and asylum seekers have allegedly faced violent attacks, forced removals and displacement. Many, including women, children and elderly people, have reportedly been left stranded without shelter, food or access to basic services, while humanitarian groups warn that the crisis is escalating. Kopanang Africa Against Xenophobia has raised serious concerns about the treatment of displaced foreign nationals, questioning both the growing hostility from communities and the response from government institutions tasked with protecting vulnerable people. Joining us on the program this morning is Attorney Sebei, attorney at Lawyers for Human Rights and part of the coordination team at Kopanang Africa Against Xenophobia. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rush on Radio Al-Ansar.
Good morning to you and listeners of your breakfast show.
Your statement paints a very disturbing picture of migrants, refugees and asylum seekers being displaced and left in unsafe conditions. Can you please expand more on what you're seeing on the ground?
Well, the situation has been there for all to see. I mean, it began with a group of refugees in Durban who gathered first at a Diokaram Center. It now is in number of places around KZN, but also we have a similar situation in Durban after the attacks at Mametlwe Sebei. We are seeing number of people being transported from Durban to Johannesburg. I think Newlands yesterday, people were attacked. Number of humanitarian aid workers trying to give food to Malawians who landed in Johannesburg, where I think their government is trying to assemble them from various parts of the country so that those who want to go home, they are able to go home and continue the journey. The community was refusing them, or some people in the community, let me put that way. I think it's a Patriotic Alliance Councillor mobilizing community around hysteria and making sure that they don't get food and water. I mean, this is the reality where, people are sleeping in pavements, people are now hiding in bushes, they are being chased from their homes like animals. It's just unacceptable. It is horrific, and I think it must be condemned in as strong as possible ways, but also there must be a call for accountability on the part of government agencies that should be maintaining order in this situation, protecting the vulnerable, but also the culprits of this vigilantism, of this violence and displacement.
Now, many South Africans are frustrated about unemployment, poverty and crime. Some believe foreign nationals are contributing to all of these challenges. How do we address these frustrations without allowing them to fuel xenophobic violence?
The problem is that there's just no connection, if you think about it, right? Firstly, only 4.1% of the population in this country is actually, foreign immigrants, right? Many of whom, let's be clear about it, are either self-employed, especially when you look at Ethiopians, Somali traders, and of course others, predominantly Zimbabweans, are working in households which wouldn't even be able to afford a South African worker. And I'm not talking about your ordinary worker hiring a domestic worker on a wage that would not even, it's not like when you take out a Zimbabwean worker, that other worker who needs somebody to help them in their home will be able to afford an alternative worker. So there is just no relation in that respect, right? Now, if anything, those that are owning sponsor shops and other forms of business are actually hiring South African people as well. So you've got to take account of that. But the fact of the matter is that 13 million people in this country are unemployed because of decline in many industries. When you look at agriculture, in 1970, agriculture employed about 2 million people. Today, it employs 900 and something thousand people. Manufacturing declined from 24% of the GDP. Today is about somewhere between 11 and 14%. Mining used to be about 21% in 1980. Today it's about 5 to 6%. I can go on about construction and other industries that were responsible for employment of millions of people. Those industries have been in decline. We could have conversation around that to say, how do we make sure that we bring into production factories, mines that are under care and maintenance, and make sure that farms that are staying idle are recapitalized, operationalized, so that millions of jobs are created in those industries alongside a mass public works program to build the roads, the hospitals, the schools that the country desperately needs, as well as housing to accommodate 13% of people that are living in informal settlements in this country. That is how you create jobs. You make sure that everybody is decently employed without having to kill or without having to brutalize anybody. Blaming poor people for conditions created by capitalism, monopoly capitalism in this country, and of course a neglect of infrastructure by its political elite in the state is just irresponsible and outright criminality.
You touched on this just a moment ago, but let's delve a little bit deeper into it because we're hearing reports of humanitarian aid being obstructed. How concerning is this, especially when women and children are involved?
5 babies were born, the past few days, literally on the streets, on pavement, because these are women that were already being denied an access to healthcare. Now they're even afraid of leaving these makeshift refugee centers, which is simply an open spaces. And that's the kind of situation that we have. Never mind the fact that increasing number of people are dying. Some reported, there's an incident in Durban where somebody died, but I think it's also reality that in number of areas across the country, migrants are being killed with a complete impunity, because for the criminal elements who are officially part of these vigilante groups and others outside of it is an organ and spring of killing for which they know that there's not going to be accountability given the level of dehumanization that has taken place here. It's almost like it's a season for hunting of animals.
As a final question for this morning, what urgent interventions need to happen right now to prevent this humanitarian crisis from worsening?
It is very simple, right? People responsible for this violence need to be arrested. Let's be clear about it. We can't dance around this question. They need to be held accountable. The moment we agree in this country that another human being can just be killed simply because they do not share our nationality, we are sliding down a dangerous path. The moment that we think that it's okay that somebody can simply get into someone's business, take what they want, chase them from their home occupied in that particular manner, or assault people on the streets in front of cameras without consequences, we're in a dangerous path. So there must be accountability there. The state needs to be able to make sure that people are safe in their community, providing the support that they need, in terms of policing and others. But also we require an urgent humanitarian aid. We've been calling on the churches, we've been calling on the government itself to make sure that those that are displaced are decently accommodated. More than that, we should have conversation about lack of documentation of millions of people in this country, by the way. Not just migrants, but South Africans. There is about 4 million South Africans that are without documentation. That is because of broken system at Home Affairs. but also how do we address issues of unemployment, of violence, of criminality, of lack of services, particularly health, education, and healthcare, that have got such level of disparitions that are making poor to turn against the poor, because politicians are weaponizing the genuine frustrations of working class people in this country and scapegoating migrants for the failures of their own systems and disastrous consequences of their policies.
I want to thank you for your time this morning and your insights on this subject, and wish you a wonderful day ahead.
Send you. Thank you.
So.
Join us again tomorrow morning on TBR.